I read 4 books in June. I had planned to read 6, but life got busy, and so I only got 4 in, but I got 4 really good books in this month. So I want to talk about them with you. Let's talk about my June reads. Y'all, stuff was busy in June. I had planned to read 6 books. I had 6 books on my TBR that I wanted to read, and I just didn't get to all of them. I didn't get to all of them. I was still healing from my surgery, and then by the time I felt well enough, I went to spend a little time with my brother and my son that lives out of state, and so I didn't get time, and I saw my grandbabies, and so I didn't get time to read all the books that I wanted to get read, but I read some really good books, and I want to chat about them with y'all. So now these are not in the order that I've read them, but I want to talk about them. They're very interesting. So I read this book called Such a Lovely Family. I read this, let me see, get you in the frame. So I read Such a Lovely Family by Aggie, Blum, Thompson. I have not read anything by her. Let me know if y'all have. But y'all, this was a good book. It was so good. You talking about family drama, family dysfunction. Let me read you what it says in the back. It says, I'm pulling up my Goodreads on my phone so I can get my star rating too, so I can tell y'all that. But it says the cherry blossoms are in full bloom in Washington, D.C., and with a house full of friends, neighbors, and their beloved 3 adult children, the Calhouns are expecting another picture-perfect celebration, but a brutal murder transforms the yearly gathering into a homicide scene, and all the guests into suspects. Behind their facade of perfection, the Calhoun family has been keeping some very dark secrets. Parents who use money and emotional manipulation to control their children. Drama. 2 sons, one the black sheep who is desperate to outrun mistakes he's made, and the other a new father willing to risk everything to protect his child, and a daughter, an Instagram influencer who refuses to face the truth about the man she married. As the investigation heats up, family tensions build and alliances shift. Long buried resentment surfaces, forcing the Calhouns to face their darkest secrets before it's too late. Y'all, I gave this 4 stars. It was really, really good. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the drama. I didn't figure out who did what until it came out. I thought I had it, and it kind of gave like some indication of one way, but the ultimate who did it, I didn't really put that together until I read it. And so I like that. I like when I can guess it but not guess it. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be too obvious. I want it to surprise me. And so I really like this book. I'm gonna try another one from her. I don't know. Like I said, let me know if you've read anything by Aggie Blum Thompson. But I really enjoy her writing. I thought it was the writing was good. I thought the story concept was good. The family dysfunction was top tier. I like she talked about like real time stuff, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff, influencer life, all that. So it was pretty much relevant to the times that we're living in. So 4 stars for Such a Lovely Family. So I really like that book. The next book that I'm going to talk about is funny story. Y'all, I love Emily Henry. I really like her books, and I think everybody, I've not seen anybody that really don't like Emily Henry. The people I follow like her. So she is funny. Her writing is funny. Her characters in the, even though there be like life events, but the storyline itself, she always brings out something funny in her book. So that's funny story. This is about let me read. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it's pretty long, but this is about Daphne and what was the other guy's name? The love interest in that, her Daphne and her fiance Peter, they end up breaking up, right? She moves to a lakeside home, moves back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. But then he ends up realizing he's actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra, who also has a boyfriend named Miles. And they go out on kind of like his bachelor's party, I believe. Petra's there, and he realizes he's in love with her. So he breaks off his engagement to Daphne, and then Daphne's in his town, right? And so she ends up moving in with Miles as a roommate because she doesn't have anywhere to go. And so it's basically like Daphne and Miles' friendship and her trying to rebuild her life in her ex-fiance's town. She's a librarian, so you get some book elements and stuff like that in there. It was really funny. Miles, I loved him. He was eclectic probably, but I really did like him, and it was a good story. It was a really good story. It ended up being a little love story. I'm not gonna spoil it for y'all, but in Emily Henry's way of doing things, you'll really enjoy it. I think you'll really enjoy it. I think I gave this 4 stars. I will say to me, it was almost a little bit lengthy for the subject, because it was like, I think the friendship part was long, and then when they decide to actually get together, kind of, it was a little bumpy. However, it was still good. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. 4 stars for Funny Story by Emily Henry. Now, the next 2 books I'm going to talk about were not my faves. They were not my faves. One I'm actually still reading, but I've got a good concept of it. And unless it surprises me, I'm not sure. But the one that I did finish, and I was kind of disappointed in a little bit, but I think it was because, well, I'll explain. Homes is where the body are. But yeah, home is where the bodies are by Jeneva Rose. I think I gave this 3 stars. I think for me, the reason why this was not great to me, it was 3 stars, so it was still good. However, I think because I thought it was one thing and it really wasn't. It ended up being, yes, it's a mystery, but it still ended up having more family dynamics and family drama than the mystery element of the story. Like, it wasn't, there was a case of, there was a murder that happened. They're trying to figure it out. Their mom died. The kids come back home. Sister is dealing with drug addiction. The brother left home. He doesn't have really a good relationship with his sisters because he left, and he's kind of like the one that's well off. And then the one sister that stayed home to pretty much, be there with her mom. And the dad, I won't say that because that might be a spoiler. The dad is gone. He kind of left the family, and kind of dealing with all those dynamics in the death of their mother. Well, then there's this video that comes up that kind of breaks. I'm doing this because it's a video, VHS, same concept. Okay. So they see this video, and it sparks some investigation. And so, but it ends up being more about the family dynamic than the actual mystery to me. And I thought it was going to be focused on more of the mystery element than the family dynamic. And it kind of wasn't to me. So that's what I got of it. Let me know if you read it and what your thoughts are about it. I do like Jeneva Rose. I'll still buy her books. Actually, I got one up here that I'm a little nervous to read because, let me see. It's not part of my July TBR, but it's on my TBR. You Shouldn't Have Come Here. I bought this because I really do like her writing. But I've saw some people, some of my book people say they didn't care for that book. So I don't know. I'm still going to read it, but we'll see. However, I end up giving this 3 stars. Let me know if you read it. I've heard other people say they didn't care. It's not what they thought. Not that they didn't care for it, but they kind of gave it a low rating too. So, but let me know if you've read it and your thoughts about it. So that is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. And I like her. I like her writing still. And then last but not least is She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica. Now, I'm still reading this, but I'm pretty much halfway through, and by the time this goes live, I'll finish it. So I'm not going to give you a rating on it because I'm not quite finished. I almost DNF'd this because it was given very slow. Very, very slow. It was like nothing's happening, and still nothing is really happening. And I'm at 137, page 137, and it's only 320 pages. So, but I went on Goodreads, and everybody was like, it starts slow, but give it, it's really good. And they end up giving it like 5 stars. Some gave it 4, some gave it 5. So I'm gonna hold on to it. Hopefully it gets better. But right now, it's slow. It's almost like let me tell you what it's about. It says Megan Michaels is trying to find balance between being a single mom to a teenage daughter and working as a full-time nurse. While Megan is on duty at the hospital one day, a patient named Caitlin arrives in a coma with a traumatic brain injury after jumping from a bridge and plunging over 20 feet to the train tracks below. But when a witness comes forward with shocking details about the fall, it calls everything they know into question. Was Caitlin pushed, and if so, by whom and why? Megan has always tried to stay emotionally detached from her patients, but this time she mistakenly lets herself get too close until she's deeply entangled in Caitlin's life. Only when it's too late does she realize that she and her daughter could be the next victims. So off of that, I was like, oh wow, this is good. It says a riveting thriller. But it's talking about 2 different, and I think maybe it's gonna come together, but it's almost like 2 different stories, actually like 3 different stories happening in this one book. And I'm like, when is it gonna get back onto Caitlin? So it's a little bit confusing. However, what I saw in Goodreads, they said to keep going, and the cover is everything. I mean, the cover is everything. So I'm going to keep going with it. But if you've read it, let me know your thoughts if you've read this. I've got a few books by Mary Kubica. So I'm hoping that this is not how she writes. And part of it, like, some of how she writes is, like, you give me, like, too much information. A little too much dictionary. Like, versus telling me the story. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you've read She's Not Sorry. So those are the 4 books that I read in June. Let me know what you have read in June. If you've read any of these books, what did you think about them? What stars did you give them? All the things. Let's chat in the comments, okay? So, y'all, be kind to yourself and find you some good books to read. I'll see you next week. Bye.